Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 1999 movie titled The Boondock Saints. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead. In the opening scene, we meet siblings Connor and Murphy, two devoted Irishmen who have their own family prayer. On St. Patrick's Day, they start their day by attending church, where the priest recounts the brutal murder of a young girl in the streets, a crime for which passers-by did nothing. He sees this apathy as a greater evil than the actual killing. The brothers accept his message and leave. Connor and Murphy work in the meatpacking industry, and they are usually harmless unless disturbed. They appreciate battling for a cause but are otherwise kind people, well liked by their neighbors and friends. Doc, the bar's owner, is likewise supportive of them, but one day he delivers troubling news. He tells them that the Russian mafia is expanding its presence in the neighborhood and intends to close his establishment. Doc has 1 week left on his lease, but on St. Patrick's Day, 3 thugs arrive to evict him. One of the Russians, Ivan, tells Rocco to stay while the others leave. The protagonist brothers try to fix the situation calmly, but the Russian mafia refuses to listen. Rocco, heavily intoxicated, insults Yvonne and receives a punch in the face. Consequently, the two brothers and their buddies begin attacking the henchmen. They tie one of them to a table, light fire to his rear end, and hurl both carcasses into the street. The next morning, the two henchmen entered the brothers' flat with the intention of killing them. Wrapping their injuries indicates that the brothers treated their wounds after the fight. After cuffing his brother, Yvonne apologizes to Connor and threatens to murder him. Enraged as Yvonne carries Murphy away, Connor snatches the toilet off the floor, climbs to the roof, and throws it at Yvonne's head. He then leaps onto the other henchman to save Murphy. Connor knocks Yvonne in the head twice, steals the money and guns, and takes him to the hospital. Later, police officers find the bodies of the criminals near Doc's tavern. FBI Special Agent Paul Smecher arrives to investigate the case and learns Detective Greenlee's surprising theory. Greenlee enthusiastically advances his hypothesis, claiming that a larger black man was the offender, but Smecher is skeptical. He sends Greenlee for coffee, and within minutes, Smecher, like any true detective, forms his own theory. He ascertains that a toilet struck one thug, resulting in a fractured back for the other. He also finds the brothers' house, where they removed the toilet. He also discovers the weapons and deduces that 2 shots were fired. Smecher believes that personal reasons, not gang affiliation, motivated the crime. The officers go to the brothers' apartment and confirm the missing toilet. Greenlee, astonished, insists that a large man attacked the thugs. However, Smecher disagrees with him and mocks him. Meanwhile, the brothers are in the hospital, battered and contemplating turning themselves in. Doc arrives and informs them that Smecher is investigating the thugs' deaths. The brothers are not terrified and want to clarify that they acted in self-defense. They give Doc the money and weapons they discovered, and they ask him to keep them while they are hospitalized. At the police station, Smecher is unhappy with his colleagues for disclosing the case to a journalist. The entire town now learned about the thugs' deaths and considers the brothers heroes. Smecher emphasizes the importance of understanding the brothers. During this time, the brothers show up at the police station, looking like the Walking Dead. Smecher decides to interrogate them alone, assuring them that he has filmed the entire episode. The brothers agree to tell the truth but avoid discussing the firearms and money. Smecher believes that the brothers acted in self-defense and releases them. Nonetheless, they wish to remain in the cell until the media outside the station disperse. An officer assures the media that the brothers are innocent and their release is imminent. That night, a vision compels both brothers to rid the city of the pollution that is destroying the lives of good people. They decide to declare war and eliminate all of the criminals in the city. In the morning, the brothers get a message on the phone they took from Yvonne. As they prepare to leave the police station, they discover that all of the newspapers are covering their story. Connor, who speaks Russian, dials the number on Yvonne's phone and discovers where the gangsters will meet that evening. In the next scene, we find that Rocco is a runner for the Italian mafia family, working for the boss, Papa Joe. They know Rocco was present during a clash with the Russian mafia. Now he sits before Papa Joe, trying not to soil himself because the boss is in a negative mood. Papa Joe asks Rocco to make him laugh, and Rocco tells him a joke. Papa Joe bursts into laughter and repeatedly refers to Rocco as a hilarious man. Before meeting with the Russian mob leader, Connor and Murphy sell the henchmen's valuables and pistols in order to buy armaments. Connor insists on bringing a rope, as is typical in spy movies. Murphy initially dismisses it as a dumb idea but soon agrees. Upon arriving at the hotel, the brothers climb through the ventilation duct to reach the room where the meeting is. After arguing over the rope, they eventually became entangled in it. Consequently, they create a gap in the attic and tumble down. Fortunately, the rope catches them, and they begin shooting at the crooks around them. After slaying all of the henchmen, the brothers force the mob boss to kneel, say a prayer, and shoot him in the head. They then locate a briefcase in the room and discover money inside. They eventually hear a knock at the door. They open it, put the victim on the ground, and threaten to murder him. They quickly recognize Rocco, who claims Papa Joe ordered him to shoot the 9 Russians with only 6 rounds. Rocco struggles to understand the truth of the situation, as his pals have just slain several people and terrified him. Later, Agent Smecker is summoned to the crime scene. He arrives and realizes that a true massacre has occurred. After analyzing the addresses, Smecker concludes that 2 gunmen killed 9 criminals and planted coins with religious meaning in the victims' eyes. Smecker believes the massacre was the consequence of a mafia gang conflict. The brothers then go to Rocco's residence and inform him of their plan to preserve humanity from crooks. They drink and smoke. In the morning, Rocco and the brothers go for a drive outside. Connor informs Rocco that his employer most likely sent him to assassinate a Russian mobster so that he could commit suicide. Rocco first refuses to believe it, but the 2 brothers attempt to persuade him that Papa Joe has betrayed him. After bickering for some time, Rocco declares that he is leaving to confront Papa Joe. In a frenzy of rage, Rocco walks into the bar and kills 2 goons, as well as the bartender, who works for Papa Joe. A few hours later, Rocco returns to the flat and angrily insists that they leave. Rocco confesses that upon arriving at Papa Joe's tavern, he came to the realization that everyone was already aware of his impending assassination. After cooling down, Rocco proposes pursuing Vincenzo, Papa Joe's right-hand man. One night, the group goes with Vincenzo to a strip club. Vincenzo strangles a dancer, and the 3 saints murder him. Officer Smecker tracks them, but a club employee's claim of witnessing 3 shooters disproves his theory that there were just 2 of them. The fight also claimed 2 unconnected street criminals, disproving Smecker's theory of a mob war. When the agent learns about the deaths at Papa Joe's pub, he becomes completely bewildered. The only commonality among all the killings was the horrific nature of the victims. Smecker becomes enraged as he cannot identify the perpetrator and flees. Knowing he is the target, Papa Joe hires the most formidable hitman he knows. Years in prison, the number-only person has no name. In criminal circles, he's known as Deuce. Papa Joe insists that they must stop Rocco before he either surrenders the entire mafia family to the authorities or murders them all. Deuce is subsequently released from prison. Rocco informs the brothers that in the name of goodness, they must eliminate a hitman. This merciless hitman murders anybody he can get his hands on. Rocco discovers where and when he plays poker, and he prepares to break into his home and murder everyone inside. The brothers agree and drive to the hitman's house in a minivan. As the trio sneaks inside the criminal's home, Officer Smecker recounts the incidents. The group enters the residence and begins shooting everyone inside. During the chaos, we discover that Vincent Vega, the brutal hitman, is in the restroom at the crucial moment. Later, the hitman appears and attacks Rocco. The 2 brothers leave Rocco to face the hitman alone as he seeks vengeance. They toss Rocco a golf ball, which he uses to murder the hitman. As the 3 leave the house, they come across the hitman known as Deuce, who fires at them but fails to kill them. Everyone survives, but Rocco sustains injuries and loses a finger. When Smecker arrives at the crime scene, he is distraught because he cannot identify those responsible for the deaths of the city's criminals. Then, upon discovering Rocco's finger, he feels a sense of relief, knowing that he can now identify the guilty. The trio watches the news and learns that Smecker plans to continue the investigation. Rocco suggests killing him, but the brothers decline because he is a decent man. That evening, Smecker entered the finger into the database, and an image appeared in his head. He discovers that the Lead brothers have resolved to purge the city of criminals, with Rocco's help. Smecker must decide whether to arrest the brothers, terminate their crusade, or turn a blind eye to their actions. On the one hand, he believes Connor and Murphy are doing the right thing, but he can't accept it, so Smecker goes to a gay club near the church and drinks. When the brothers leave for church in the morning, Rocco notices Smecker and follows him. Smecker wants to confess, but Rocco plans to kill him. Connor interrupts and orders the priest to ask specific questions. Connor soon discovers that Smecker is on their side. Eventually, the agent offers to assist the brothers and departs. When the brothers leave the church, they ask him for help. Smecker must now locate the elusive mercenary Deus, but he discovers a more important issue. The trio is on their way to Papa Joe's house to kill him. Knowing that the house is filled with henchmen, Smecker goes to assist them. The mafias apprehends the trio as they attempt to break into the house. They severely beat them and bind them to chairs. Later, Papa Joe murders Rocco, leaving the brothers in disbelief. Meanwhile, Smecker shows up at Papa Joe's house disguised as a woman. He seduces a guard, leads him to the bathroom, and then kills him with a strike to the head. He then exits the bathroom and kills another henchman. At that point, the brothers break free, and when a henchman enters, they kill him. Connor and Murphy then decide to give their comrade a dignified send-off by saying a prayer. Dowse enters the house and punches Smecker in the head, knocking him unconscious. When Dowse hears the brothers' family prayer, he puts down his weapons and joins them. They reveal Dowse to be their long-lost father, as only he and the brothers are familiar with the prayer. As a result, they decide to work together to rid the city of evildoers. 3 months later, reporters on the scene predict Papa Joe's acquittal despite the overwhelming evidence supporting his conviction. The trial abruptly halts when the two brothers and their father interrupt the proceedings. The three openly profess their mission to exterminate evil and say their prayer one last time before shooting Papa Joe in the back of the skull with many rounds. The media refers to the trio as the Saints, and the video ends with a series of street interviews in which diverse Boston citizens argue whether the Saints are ultimately a force for good or evil. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.